For Willie Rennie.
The aim of Test and Protect is to protect the country from a second peak. The words of the First Minister in May when she launched the programme. Back then, 77 people tested positive. It's now, as of today, 1,027, when we were supposed to be heading towards elimination. In June, she said the purpose of the elimination strategy was to get more normality back and deal with any flare-ups or clusters or outbreaks in a much more targeted way. But now, as of yesterday, we have limits on travel, pubs and restaurants forced to close, the rule of 6, no indoor visiting, no bingo, no bowling. That doesn't seem like a targeted approach. I think it's clear now that the government got carried away with its language over the summer. The First Minister did not use that time well to prepare adequately. So what would she have done differently to get on top of the virus over the summer?
First Minister.
No doubt when I look back on this episode, and we do it regularly, there's all sorts of things that we would do differently if we had our time again. That's probably in the nature of dealing with an unprecedented challenge. But I just fundamentally disagree with Willie Rennie's characterisation. It was absolutely right. It was not about getting carried away. It was essential over the summer that we used that time to drive the virus as low as possible. Because if we hadn't done that, then we would see levels of infection right now. And, you know, it's always difficult to be trying to prove a negative. We would be seeing levels of infection right now that were way out, way above what we are seeing already. If you look at the figures across the UK right now, we have an R number that appears, and R numbers are not perfect ways of describing what's happening with the virus, but we've got an R number that is marginally above other parts of the UK, and we have a growth rate that is marginally above other parts of the UK. But our case numbers per 100,000 on both a 7-day and 14-day rolling average are the lowest in the UK. And that is actually the benefit of having driven the virus low. So even although the virus is spreading again, it is doing it from a much lower base. And again, Test and Protect will never, and Willie Rennie, I'm sure if he goes back and mines my quotes, as he's obviously been done, he will find many times where I've said this: Test and Protect cannot suppress the virus on its own. Right now, it will be bearing, and again, we don't see this because it's preventing lots of cases that are not there right now because of the work it's doing. It's bearing a lot of the strain of this, but unfortunately, with an infectious virus, we all have to play our part, and that's what we are all being asked to do, and it is really difficult for everybody. I absolutely recognise, but that is in the nature of what we're dealing with right now, and it's what every country in the world virtually is having to do. And while, as I said yesterday, this is really difficult, I think, for all of us to really think about right now, because life still feels so abnormal, but we are living with much more normality now than we were in April, May, June, even into July. In many ways, aspects of our life has returned, but there are still restrictions on our life because of the pandemic that we are dealing with. So I absolutely understand people's frustrations. I share those frustrations, but we are in this situation in common with everybody across the world, and we have to keep doing the right things to get ourselves through it, and that's what the government has to continue to lead.
Willie Rennie.
If the government is to get on top of this virus, we need to be frank about what has happened. Test and Protect has not protected us from a second peak, and it has not, and the elimination strategy has not succeeded. But let me turn to something that could help. At Northumbria University in England, they carried out mass testing of students. Last week, they found 90% of those who tested positive showed no symptoms. That's 9 out of 10 did not know that they had the disease. They and their contracts are now self-isolating to stop the spread and get the virus under control. So far, the Scottish Government has refused to embrace this approach. But with this evidence from Northumbria, I want to try again. Will the First Minister agree to mass routine testing for students so we can stop further outbreaks in our universities?
First Minister.
Can I firstly just come back to Test and Protect, because I'm conscious right now there are lots and lots of people across this country working in Test and Protect doing exceptional work, and I don't want to have a statement left hanging that says Test and Protect is not protecting the country. Test and Protect cannot suppress this virus on its own, but the work of Test and Protect right now is preventing countless infections. That will be saving countless numbers of people from becoming ill and potentially countless numbers of people from dying. Those working in Test and Protect are doing an excellent job, and I think we should all be deeply grateful to them for that. It's also, Willie Rennie and I will no doubt continue. I think Willie Rennie, who's a really smart, intelligent guy, don't quote me on that in your next election leaflet, I'll deny it, to the end of days, I think in some respects is choosing not to understand the elimination strategy point, but we will no doubt continue to debate these things and both of us enjoy it. I'm not sure it helps anybody watching out there. But on the point about testing, we do more asymptomatic testing. Our testing, and again, I mean this with the greatest of respect, the testing strategy will develop in line with the proper consideration and clinical advice that we have. The latest review, as I said yesterday, will be carried out over the next couple of weeks. And we will look at where it is sensible to take asymptomatic testing next. We've already extended that to care homes, to NHS staff, and that discussion will continue. But what I would say is the university outbreaks we have had, and I'm not complacent about this, our data right now shows that the impact of those is beginning to abate. So the work that Test and Protect has been doing through university outbreaks, again, has been helping to contain those outbreaks from getting greater. So I'll take Willie Rennie's points about testing, and I can assure him that we will continue to consider his points as we will consider those that others make to us.